My goodness, my goodness. Welcome, Loren Gonzalez,
Thank
life and leadership coach. It's a pleasure to have you here. It's a blessing to have you here. Join me in this conversation. Um, Lauren and I had a beautiful, beautiful journey. I coached her for almost a year, right?
you. Yeah.
And it was the most amazing transformational experience. I mean, all of them are special, but yours were and was extra special. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You're gonna share a little bit of that journey, maybe, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. I love
Thank
you and I
you.
appreciate your energy and saying yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you want to share your journey, a little bit about yourself. How did you started with first coaching? Because we
Mhm.
met while we were taking our certification
Yeah.
and it was a spark.
Yep.
It was magical.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need to get to know her. And the
Yeah.
interesting part was that we were paired together.
Mhm. Yes.
You were to coach me.
Yes.
That
I remember that was so wild.
was amazing.
Yes.
So how did you start at this journey?
I've always been fascinated by people.
Mm.
And, as you start to evolve and your awareness becomes greater than yourself, it was for me, what's my purpose on this earth? How can I serve? And I just kept coming back to people, but I didn't know what that looked like, what it meant, what form it took in terms of service. And I got introduced to coaching in my career. I can't remember what year it was, maybe around 2015.
Mhm.
And I was fascinated by what it was able to like move and change within me, through this conversation. Um, and then I was very moved by a speaker that I heard at a conference, a women's conference. And I remember going up to her and I was holding back the tears. And then her LinkedIn anniversary came up, maybe a year later. And she told me where she had gotten her coaching certification through. And so I looked into it and I said, even though I vowed not to spend any more money on school, education, class, I was like, I'm done with that. But I decided to enroll, and it was absolutely, one of the best decisions
Mhm.
that I've made. I think coaching, when you coach someone and also when you are coached, there's just this exchange that can be a gift to both of you. It's just a really beautiful a way of being and a way of serving the world around you, and it ripples and it seeps out into everything. Your family. I have two daughters, my children, my marriage, how I'm able to lead and inspire, colleagues. So that's how I got immersed in the world of coaching, and then we met.
And then we met. What happened? What happened there?
Magic, magic. Actually,
What happened? You oh my God. When I first heard you was I think it was the mod 3
yes.
of our last certification, of our last going through the certification. And then I saw you and you shared, one of your experiences. And I said, oh, God, I could feel the energy
Mhm.
coming through the screen. And that's what many people don't understand now more than ever, because we're
Mhm.
mostly doing business and
Mhm.
schooling online. But you could also feel the energy of people through the screen, through the waves, the internet. And yours, I felt it. And then it was just magic.
It's absolutely true because you and I have actually never met in person.
Nope.
And there's been, I remember through our coaching sessions, when you were coaching me, where I would just be doubled over in tears, couldn't breathe, and it felt like your arms wrapped around me. I mean, you really can feel energy through, outside this screen, and we're staring at each other.
Yes.
But I remember actually the very first, I think, just transformative experience that I had with you was actually, I was assigned to be your coach in this session, and I remember, pausing and feeling like maybe we could go through some guided meditation. And as we were doing that, I became overwhelmed with emotion, and I didn't even understand it. And I paused and we opened our eyes, and I said, I'm just feeling something so deeply and I don't know. And then it was just this natural shift, and you guided me through a meditative journey. And it was that moment, it was so vivid. It was 2 years ago. And I remember 2 years ago this month, I remember it like it was yesterday.
I got goosebumps.
Yes. And that was the vision, that where I saw myself pregnant, encircling my arms around this belly. And I just was like, no, that's not happening right now. And it was that month actually that I became pregnant with my second daughter. So it was just, I really, I mean, as you know, our coaching journey was a really beautiful exchange, because your intuition, it's the intuition that you're training and listening to during those moments that can really transform how you lead and guide and respond to your life, because you can't change any of the stimulus out there or the people or a lot of situations, but how you interact with that is within your control and really powerful.
And it just, for a moment there, when you took me back to that moment, I felt the emotion, because it was truly, when you connect such a deep level with another human.
Yeah.
And I'm getting emotional. I feel it. It's such deep love
Yes.
where nothing else exists.
Yeah.
And so you're able to connect. Oh my God, and I don't have tissues here. Huh, this wasn't supposed to happen. You get to feel that energy in its purest form. And you're able to connect to that human at such a deep level that all the shields and the walls and the mask just comes down, and you see them for who they truly are. And so it's a reflection of each other.
Mhm. Mhm. So many things just came up for me there, because I historically I'm a master at building the wall, the curated poise and posture, and I'm excellent at putting on a performance. And our coaching sessions just dismantled those session by session every month. And I didn't realize how much I didn't love myself until we started working together. And it was also during that first meditative journey that you had me wrap my arms, in my mind's eye around a tree, and asked what the message was. And because this was all sort of new to me at the time, and I was like, I'm not really sure. And then I realized that I was hugging myself, and how good and new that was. And that was really the journey that we went on, because I had this little girl inside that had never healed. And I kept trying to push her away and stifle her like she had been during her childhood, so that I could, remain strong and composed and perfect, something I strived for so long. And you mentioned the word seen. And when we talked about this episode and you said, and it'll be on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I'll be seen. And I mean that figuratively as well, of course. It took a really long time and a lot of work. As I think it does a lot of women are really uncomfortable being seen, especially in any kind of raw, vulnerable way. So it feels really good to be seen.
To be seen. We just the conditioning that we've grown. It's really hard to get to that point of loving ourselves unconditionally. And when you first feel self-love, you feel it in your bones, in your muscles, in your brain, in everything, in all of you, in the physical form, and you feel it deep down inside. It awakens something that you never felt before, but then you realize, oh, this is how it truly feels to love myself beyond the roles that I carry or chose throughout my life.
Yeah.
Self-love. And thank you so much, so much, so much for sharing that journey, for allowing me to witness that transformation, because you've grown, you've transformed, you've evolved so much. Because not only I was coaching you through that journey, you were pregnant. So it felt like I was coaching little girl.
Yes. Yes.
It was magical.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about during one of the sessions how that's what the coaching is moving, shifting energy. It's energy work. And when you have a soul inside you, when you are doing that inner work, it is just permeating the placenta and moving into her as well. And there was something that I wrote during my pregnancy. I did a lot of writing during my pregnancy, but there was something, and I can't remember all of it, but it was essentially about, ending all of my achieving, so I could just be, so that she could just be.
I love that.
You talked about unconditional love a minute ago, and it's very serendipitous that I'm in the process of writing a book, and
yes,
the chapter that we talked about today is titled Fierce Love. And so for an hour, I'm working with this writing team, untangling the definition of love and unconditional love. And I think that the conditions arise in really sneaky ways. And just for so long, I was subconsciously saying to myself, I love you when, I love you if, I love you after. And when you just start to break down all of those conditions, it's so liberating. And until you establish that level of unconditional love within yourself, you're not going to find it in the life around you either.
What else did you find when you found and felt and were breathing self-love?
Freedom.
Haha.
Freedom became one of my biggest values and discoveries of just being so aligned with myself,
Mm.
and then the expression of that. And it was just like, oh, this feels really good, to find your voice. I wasn't like harboring away the tension or discord that would happen because I was trying to stuff who I was to be desirable or align myself with someone else's values to fit mold, which is what I trained for my entire childhood.
Oh, you mentioned values.
Mhm.
And for you, what comes first? Did you know your values first before you really knew and felt felt self-love and freedom that brought? Or
Mhm.
did you first felt self-love,
Mhm.
learn to self-love, and then you were able to establish your values? What came
Yeah,
first?
the self-love. It was this giant missing foundational component that everything else was able to be built on.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's like a
Wow.
precursor to a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And so many people are missing it and they don't even realize it. I mean,
No,
I didn't, you know?
no. It's like everything. Many people think they're fully aware, but only a very, 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 very small percentage, close to
Hmm.
10 to 15% of
Yep.
the whole entire world population is actually self-aware.
Yeah. And you mentioned that I want to say it was maybe roughly like the 9 months that we worked together and things would seem healed or at a resolve, and there it's just layer after layer after layer. And you were the one that introduced me to that spiral concept,
Mm.
of going down or up, however you see it. And as you go, you're going to revisit, maybe a similar thing, but it's from a different angle or a different part of the staircase. And right before I got pregnant, I had something tattooed on my sternum, which is a common place for females to get this symbol, and it's the unalome. And it represents the path to enlightenment. And within it are these series of knots that eventually straighten out into a straight line with the three dots. And those twists and turns are those different layers, those trials and tribulations in life where you learn different parts about yourself. So if you can stop seeing things as like good and bad, there's so much to learn in this life.
And it takes away the frustration because
Yep.
I hear so much. Oh, but I thought I overcame this.
The
I thought
self-judgment.
it was over.
Yeah.
When we get to know that part of, wait a minute, it's going to show up, different layer, different form, different people, different circumstance. You get to forgive yourself and others with
Hmm.
grace much easier.
Yeah.
And so you're less judgmental and your heart opens up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has been your experience, but it has been definitely mine,
Yeah.
where before I was very stern and very judgmental, like, oh, that shouldn't be that way.
Hmm.
Like, oh no, wait a minute. This is another phase. This is another part that I haven't healed. That is a great opportunity
Yep.
to take it all in.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, I was reading something, and that I was reading a book, and then that book led me to a video. And that video really ignited a, a, a different face. And I was bowling in the living room.
Mhm.
And my husband, we both work together. And so, I
Mhm.
mean, not together, we work at home. So
Yeah.
he hears the sobbing. So he comes really, quiet, like, what's going on? And so
Yeah.
he just peeks. And I just looked at him like, everything okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He has gotten to understand that it's not about him. It's nothing to do with a
Yeah.
relationship. It's just that I'm in this moment of complete and absolute embrace of my emotions, whatever it is that is coming up.
Mhm.
Not even 10 seconds had passed. He went back to his office and I was just bawling. And
Yeah.
I just got
Yeah.
up and I said, I'll come back, give me a minute. So I came down and I just lost it.
Yeah.
Um, when we see those emotions rising, instead of shoving them and saying, pretending this is not happening, I'm
Yeah.
strong,
Yeah.
and you just embrace them and let everything go,
Mhm. Yeah.
feels so releasing and
Yeah.
freeing, because after that comes so much clarity. And
Yes.
it's a volt of energy, a surge of energy. Like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I didn't see this before this way.
Yeah.
And so it's just putting, like we say, putting a different lens and seeing that part of us completely from a different perspective and perception.
Yeah.
And that is what takes us to those level of awareness and consciousness that allow us to create and be magic.
Mhm. Yes, when you were talking about sobbing in the living room, I was like, yes, deeply feeling.
Mm,
And so much of this world is hardened or moving too fast
mm,
to be able to slow down and feel. And I'll never forget someone really close to me, the first time they allowed me to slow them down and sit and feel, they just started crying. And this was a male. So these tears were almost like foreign objects to him. Like he was like, why are my eyes wet? I mean,
yeah.
and they were just rolling down his face, and he didn't know what they were about or where they were from. But it's like for every tear is this really sometimes ancient clogged emotion coming out,
Mm,
and to your point, it does bring so much clarity once you sort of like wring those things out of you. um and going more into my coach journey now, I can almost identify those that are out of touch with their emotions and those that, let's say, feel like on a, allow themselves to feel on a regular basis. And I was talking with a young girl the other day, and I said, can I ask you something? And she was like, sure. And I said, when was the last time that you cried? And she was like, I don't know. Why would I kind of like, why would I cry? And inside, I was like, I knew it, because she's very good at what she does. She's very successful, and she's very like, I can take all the nails and all the hammers and,
mm,
make something amazing. I mean, she's amazingly talented, but her, what's limiting her is the lack of allowance to feel so
mm.
that she can create beyond the blueprint that she has in front of her. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Mhm.
That's powerful. Oh my God, we can go deeper and deeper and deeper because there's so much about emotions and feeling.
Mhm.
And it's like a buzz word. It's constantly emotional intelligence, um,
Yeah.
mental health. When you get to actually connect to yourself,
Mhm.
to your feelings and to your emotions, to your body, It's liberating
Yes.
and so healing.
Yeah.
But we got to befriend that darkness within ourselves that we're so afraid to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of us.
Yeah.
So when we're in this gap, like, okay, I want to be light, but I'm not
Mhm.
afraid. I'm afraid of my dark. Like, okay, so we're constantly running in the opposite
Yeah.
direction. Like, no, let's bring them together.
Yeah.
Together, it's where wholeness is found. And the magic is explosive.
Mm-hmm.
You found this. You're creating a book.
Yes.
You're creating a book, and you also have an event coming up.
Yes, that is a collaboration that I am so excited about. The concept, the event is called Reframed. And the concept came from, one day we were taking headshots of colleagues, and I would watch the women step up in front of the camera. And there was one in particular who she's just brilliant. She's a brilliant mind. And she was so just self-conscious. And so I took a picture and I was like, come on. I was like, you're brilliant, like you're talented, like your power. And I saw her kind of go like this, like, yeah, yes. And then we took another picture and it was different. And so I wanted to host a workshop with my photographer friend here in Richmond, Virginia. And we were going to take headshots before. And then I'm going to do a workshop around sort of, in coaching, we call it the gremlin energy, or essentially your inner critic. Women are plagued with, was this enough in motherhood, in their relationships, in work? And the question posed is, how many times have you gotten to the end of the day completely poured out, like on the floor, and feeling like you fell short somewhere to someone? What if you could change that perception of yourself, and then, and reframe who you are to yourself first, and take that second headshot. So yeah, and I'm very excited for the book, which should be out in a few months.
Oh my God. Now the workshop is when?
January 20th, coming up very soon.
Which coincidentally lands on the day that all of us will have this solar surge coming in. And that's the day where we need to set our intentions.
Yes.
We talked about this, to harvest those intentions in 6 months. So imagine you planting that seed on the 20th of January with all these women. I can't wait to see what that's going to happen.
Yes, and that date was not an accident. So
Oh, I know, because you're very, very in tune with the moon cycles, and just pure magic.
yes.
And that's what happens when you get connected to yourself.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Loren. I love you.
I love
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for just being you and your magic and your energy that transcends time and space. And I'm pretty sure that all of you can see it and hear it and feel it. And those of you that are near Virginia or in Virginia, next time you do it closer so I can go.
Yes. One day we'll meet in person.
One day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can I find you?
My website is cometocosmos.com.
Okay, I'm going to put it in the comments. I'm going to add it in and in the details. So anybody interested in contacting you, they can reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loren.
Thank
Love
you.
Have an amazing, amazing day. Thank you so much for watching us and being here. I appreciate you all so much.